The Finance Minister has urged Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews to reconsider a move to require international visitors to be triple vaccinated or risk losing major tourism dollars and marquee events. The Victorian government could lose major events and miss out on millions of tourism dollars if it mandates triple doses for international tourists, a minister has warned. Premier Daniel Andrews flagged he received advice that told him 3 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine was the safest way to open borders to overseas holidaymakers. All the international evidence, all the advice that I get from our team is that 3 doses is what's required in order to be as safe as you can be in order to be protected, he said. Stream more national news live and on demand with Flash, Australia's biggest news streaming service. New to Flash? Try 1 month free now. Finance Minister Simon Birmingham warns Victoria could lose out on major events and vital tourism dollars if the state government required triple vaccination status for international travellers. Picture, NCA Newswire, a Gary Ramage. Victoria Premier Daniel Andrews said the advice he received has indicated 3 doses would be needed to be fully vaccinated. Picture, NCA Newswire, a David Crosling. But Finance Minister Simon Birmingham said Mr. Andrews' latest proposal would be a crippling blow to businesses that have suffered through the world's longest lockdown. To now have this sort of uncertainty cast across it is going to be a crippling blow to businesses that have been on their knees for 2 years now, he told Nine's Today show on Monday. They finally saw light at the end of the tunnel, and now, of course, they've got this sort of uncertainty. I just would urge Daniel Andrews to reconsider in that regard. International holidaymakers could avoid and travel in other states and territories if the Victorian government mandated 3 doses. Picture, NCA Newswire, Agay Gerard. He then warned the Premier that tourists could bypass Victoria if tourists needed to be triple jabbed and would simply holiday in another state or territory. Mr. Birmingham also suggested major events could be stripped from the state by organisers who would want international crowds to fly into Melbourne for events. Victoria hosts the Australian Open and the Formula 1 Grand Prix, to name 2 events where there is interest from international viewers. Well, we don't want to have a fight over these events. We want them to adhere to the same type of approach that we're trusting the rest of the country will stick to, which is the health advice says double dose, he said. Now, if Victoria starts missing out on those international visitors, I can see plenty of pressure coming from sports, the events, the conventions and tourism industry across Victoria urging for that to change. Prime Minister Scott Morrison noted there were some differences in other countries that suggested 3 jabs, but 2 shots would be sufficient for travellers. Despite Mr. Morrison's comments, Mr. Andrews insisted it was still up to the Australian Technical Advisory Group on Immunisation, ATAGI, to determine the dosage required. The Premier believes ATAGI will shift from the recommendation of 2 to 3 vaccines to be deemed fully vaccinated. Mr. Andrews believes ATAGI will shift its recommendation of 2 shot to 3 jabs to be deemed as fully vaccinated. Picture, NCA Newswire, a David Garati. I think it's highly likely that the weight of evidence suggests that a booster, or a 3rd dose, is not really an optional extra, he said. It's critically important, and it's not just for now, it's also for what comes at us when the weather turns, later in the year, all of those things. Double vaccinated international travellers will be allowed to enter Australia from February 21st.